You are tuned into Conversation with Cardinal Dolan. I'm Father Dave Dwyer. The movie Reagan is in theaters now. It's a drama based on the life of former U.S. President Ronald Reagan from his childhood through his Hollywood years, then as governor of California, up through his time in the Oval Office and beyond. It stars Dennis Quaid, Penelope Ann Miller, and Jon Voight. Here to talk about the film is Catholic director Sean McNamara. Welcome to Conversation with Cardinal Dolan, Sean.
Hey, Father, thanks for having me.
Sean, how are you? Cardinal Dolan here. We got all Irish. We got all Irishmen on the scene today. Dutch Reagan would be happy, wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
I didn't know you were on the show until I came down. Shows you how much preparation I do. But I was thrilled. Haven't seen the movie yet. Been following it closely because I'm a big Reagan fan. In fact, I'm working my way through now the new biography by Max Boot on Reagan, Life and Legacy. It's splendid. Tell me about who sparked the idea? Did somebody approach you guys, or did you come up with it?
Well, no, a producer named Mark Joseph came up with the idea, and he actually hired another director, and that director passed away. And around 2017, they hired me, and they raised the money, and we got Dennis Quaid to come on, Penelope Ann Miller, and Jon Voight. That started our cast. And what struck me about the script written by Howard Klossner was that it was from the point of view of the Russians. And I never thought of telling a story about Ronald Reagan from the point of view of the Russians. So that's what made it just special and an interesting way in. And it just, it talked about his faith. It talked about his relationship with Nancy and just all the hardships of his life that most people don't know. Most people just know about him when he was president. And so for me, it was so interesting to follow the whole story of the man.
Sean, it's not a documentary, is it? I mean, it's not. It doesn't have newsreels. This is actually kind of like, who plays the younger Reagan? We got Dennis Quaid as president, but when does he come in?
Well, we have Tommy Reagan playing Dutch Reagan that you'd mentioned earlier, and then we have Middle Reagan, and then we have Ronald Reagan played by Quaid.
Yeah. So he would bring it through the meat of the meat of the movie. I like what you said. I'm eager if you could talk a little bit about Sean. We're here with Sean McNamara, the producer of the new Reagan movie. Talk a little bit about his faith, because even though, people teased him that he spoke faith, but rarely would he go to Sunday services, but he was a man of deep, sincere faith, wasn't he? Probably got it from his mom, if the biographies are correct.
Absolutely. His mother, Nellie, was the faith element in his life. She brought him to church, and from a young age, he was reading the gospel to the congregation on Sunday. His dad was an alcoholic, but he had to, balance his life. So things he learned from his father and his mother, he brought with him through his whole life. But Nellie definitely brought religion into his life at a very, very young age. And it reminds me of my mom.
Yeah, and it was a good combination, Sean, so the dad, Jack, whom he loved, but really had a terrible problem with demon rum, and he was a Catholic, although he wasn't too observant. In fact, the president's older brother, Neil, whom everybody called Moon, was baptized a Catholic. By the time Ronald was born 4 years later, Jack hadn't kept his promise, so Nellie said, Ronnie, you're going to be a disciple of Christ. And he did take it seriously, and it gave him, he had a tremendous sense in God's directing hand and in what we call that sense of providence, didn't he, Sean?
Well, absolutely. When you see the movie, you're going to definitely see this and how it comes up. And then how he carried that on to him being a radio personality, an actor, president of the Screen Actors Guild, and then governor of California. In fact, there's a scene that we do that supposedly happened with Pat Boone, basically on his porch after they had dinner and they were leaving. They said a prayer, and Reverend Otis just kind of had a prophecy, and it was an incredible story that Pat Boone told me. So I actually filmed Pat Boone telling me the story, but he basically said, Reverend Otis said, if you continue in this good way of life, you will reside at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And that to me was just such a moving, it just makes the hair on my skin stand up the way he told the story. So we put that in the movie.
I don't know if it's in the movie or not. Sean McNamara, the director of this great acclaimed movie on Reagan. I don't know, Sean, if it's in the movie or not, but John Paul was close, Reagan was close to Pope John Paul II. Reagan, they were both survived an assassination attempt. And Reagan told John Paul, you know, Mother Teresa told me God has spared me because he has something in mind for me. And Pope St. John Paul II smiled and said, Mother Teresa told me the same thing. There's that sense of providence. Do we have a clip?
We have a clip of
I'm eager to see it.
Almost exactly that, Your Eminence.
Let's see it.
So this is from the new movie Reagan in theaters now.
He'll do anything to get that damn tax cut.
I left specific orders, no Democrats within 100 yards.
You'll have to grin and bear it. How you doing, pal?
Well, I don't recommend getting shot.
No.
You know, Tip, I think there was a reason for all this. There's a big job left to be done, and whatever time I have left, it belongs to him.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Two Irishmen.
The new movie Reagan, that is Dennis Quaid playing President Ronald Reagan.
And then the Tip O'Neill. Sean, two Irishmen talking the Bible. This is something. I understand periodically they would have a little drink, too, after 5 o'clock when they'd go after political matters.
Tip O'Neill.
Well, that's thematically what I wanted to get across most in this movie, that they'd fight like heck all day on the Hill, but at 6 o'clock, there were a couple of Irishmen drinking. And I just think that's something that's been lost in our country, that we can agree to disagree, but as long as we can be friends, we can move things forward. And I just feel like we got to get back to that era where we have to have people get the laws right for the people, but they have to be able to be friends so they can get things done.
One last thing, Sean McNamara, the director of this great new film on Reagan, his love and dependence upon Nancy was genuine, correct?
Absolutely. And that's a large part of our story. Nancy's played by Penelope Ann Miller. And yeah, with even Ron Jr. says, you know, without Nancy Reagan, there would be no President Ronald Reagan. It was that love affair that they had that helped him become the president of the United States.
Yeah. Is it on the TV yet? Like,
No, it's in the theaters. It's actually in movie
so it's
theaters,
still in the theaters.
yeah.
I want to see it, and I thank you, Sean McNamara, for your leadership in getting this very prominent film out on Reagan.
And congratulations. It beat some of the big blockbusters at the movie theaters in some states.
Way
So,
to go.
yeah,
I'm not surprised
Absolutely.
at all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sean McNamara, you're a great Irishman, all right? See you soon.
Thank you.
Come by on St. Patrick's
God bless
Day.
you both.
Well, if he's got Tip O'Neill and Ron Reagan talking about having a beer, then, well, yeah,
Not
they're pretty good Irishmen.